So I would like to just, as you guys know, I've been starting to do some free classes and providing some education classes, and I'm starting at my church. This summer got super busy, so I didn't really get back to it as much, but I like to use these presentations as a jumping off place. So this is introduction. Some of you may have heard, but there's a new Windows kid in town called Windows 10. And how many of you have a computer with Windows 10? Okay, how many of you have a computer with Windows 8? And then how many of you have Windows computer with Windows 7? Okay, so, well, and then how many of you don't know? Okay. So, Windows 10, there's been a lot of talk about it. Don't do it, do it. Really, ultimately, should you upgrade to Windows 10, that's going to come down mainly if you're using your computer for business. You need to check with whatever business software you're using. So some applications do not work on Windows 10, and you definitely need to check with your vendor first, and that pretty much tells you right away. In this case, I'm just going to give you a little opening segment to it. As you can see, this is the main desktop of it. The biggest thing that has been brought back is the start button. Woo! For those of you that have Windows 8, you may have noticed there really wasn't a start button. It went away completely for a while, and then they brought something back that sort of acted like it. Unfortunately, for those of you coming from Windows 7 or older, the start menu looks a lot different. These little special flashing things, those are what you saw a lot on Windows 8 computers. Those are what's called tiles, and they've moved them into the start menu so you still have quick access. They're actually not a bad idea. They do provide a lot of information, and I like having them there, so I actually think that's a good idea. Another big difference with Windows 10 that I think improves upon Windows 8 is if you ever used one of those programs, the tiles, they're actually called Windows 8 apps. What would happen is if you clicked on, say, the weather, it would take you into this full screen mode away from it, very much like an iPad experience or a phone experience where you could only see one app at a time. Okay when you have a small screen, but the point of Windows originally is actually multiple windows. It's called Windows, not window. So this way it actually, as you can see, gives you the app again, so it's actually sitting on your desktop. You can have other programs open at the same time and go back to the way Windows originally was. I think for any of you that have a Windows 8 computer, something new they added to Windows 8 was they gave you a PDF reader by default. You didn't have to necessarily download Adobe Reader, but it was a Windows 8 app. And it was really frustrating and cumbersome because what it does is it takes you out of your desktop mode with Office and Internet and everything together and suddenly pulls you into this full screen mode of just the PDF. And there's ways around that, and of course as an IT person I can help you with it, but you know, just for your average user it's like, what? So it's disconcerting, and this is so much better. So, I'm flying through. I talk fast and the Mountain Dew's kicking in. Now, the next thing you need to be really aware of with Windows 10 is something seems to have gone away and been replaced with something. Does anyone know what that is? Okay, well, good. That's why I'm here. The browser has changed. Internet Explorer is starting to go away, and they came out with a new browser called Microsoft Edge. And if you see down here at the bottom, it looks very similar. Before it was IE was the icon, now it's just the E. Ooh. And this is the program here, and it kind of pulls up this little start menu, but you can go to a website, which I probably should, there's my ugly one. And then you can go to, you see how fast it is. It is actually kind of a nice browser, and it has some different features in it. But what I wanted to point out, and if you're taking notes, this is something that you may want to be aware of, because a lot of companies and individuals are required to have Internet Explorer for various reasons. Maybe even your bank needs you to have Internet Explorer so that you can sign in and remotely deposit checks. I know mine does. So what do? This is not Internet Explorer, and how are you going to get that back? Well, you can, and the easiest way to do it is to go to any website, specifically the one that actually requires Internet Explorer may be the best way. And what you can do is after you've gone to it, you can click up here. Notice there's these little 3 dots in the upper right corner. Click on that and look at what that says. Open with Internet Explorer. Ooh, so now this is Internet Explorer. Now this will be up to date Internet Explorer. This is probably going to be 11. I didn't even look at that. It's been so long. So Internet Explorer 11, again, some programs require you to have an older version. I don't have time to talk about that here, but at least you can get back to Internet Explorer 11 and pull it up. And there's even ways to still make it your default if you need to. For example, real estate agents, one of my customers, the way their program works for Coldwell Banker, they actually have to have Internet Explorer, and they told them they don't even want to deal with Windows 10 yet with some of the agents, so they're just like, don't get it yet. So again, this is where I'm saying where you have to check with the people that provide you your business apps or information. So something that's really neat about Microsoft Edge is also the search bar. And when I say neat, I mean annoying. If you want to do a search on something, by default, it's going to search Bing. Actually, it's not such a big pain. Bing is a lot better than it used to be, but a lot of people still prefer Google. And they have things tied to Google, and they want Google to be your default search engine. So another little helpful hint that I'm going to show today is how to change that, because you know what, it's kind of annoying. It took me a while to find it. The problem is, it kind of hides all the other search engines for you, so if you get a brand new computer and you try to immediately change it to Google, it's not going to work until you go to google.com first. I could explain what happens, but I will explain what happens. It registers the website for you. So google.com is now, once I've gone to the website, it's been registered into the internet or into the browser's background. So after you've gone there, now you can add it to your website. So after you go to google.com, it's now registered it. So if you want to have it be your default search engine, you would go to the little dots right there and go to settings. Settings is where you can find a lot of the things that you're wanting to change. You can change the color of it, the start page. You then go down and go to view advanced settings, and then you come down and you can change Bing to add new, and now it shows up. It wouldn't show up before. So you have to, that's how you get it to show up, and then you can choose it and say add as default. So the point of this is to show you that Windows 10 is a really good tool. How much time do I have? Is someone taking track? Okay. Anyway, the Windows 10 can be a neat operating system, but it is a big change, and there are some concerns with it, but it's nothing to be necessarily afraid of. And what I've been telling some customers that have to get a new computer, that if they're on Windows 7, they're probably going to dislike both Windows 8 and Windows 10, but they'll probably dislike Windows 10 less, I'm thinking, because it is a bit more like what they're used to, a little bit. If people are telling me I'm on Windows 8 and I absolutely hate it, remember, Microsoft is providing Windows 10 as a free upgrade up until at least next July. So if you feel comfortable, you can upgrade it yourself. That's a fairly simple process. And then to just fill up one more minute at a time, I can also say that they have something called Cortana, which is their digital assistant. And if you set it up, you have to have a Hotmail or Outlook account, a Microsoft account to set it up. But it does provide some digital information where, just like on Macs and with Google Search, Google Assistant, this provides some information, and it's actually fairly helpful. So you can tell it, and it can come up and tell you. So, I mean, there's some information there, and you can train it to listen to your voice if that's what your deal is. Any questions?
Awesome.
So a good way to get me into a company is to show that I do have a great passion for this, and I'm not one of those IT people that want to hide how to do things. If you have people in your company that are pretty tech savvy, I am fine with showing them how to fix something or to talk them over the phone instead of necessarily paying me to come out for the full hour. I want to help my customers as much as possible. I want to help them learn. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I have customers that are like, I don't want to know, just fix it. And I can do that too. I may still have to share it with them because I can't help but narrate everything I do in life. It's really fun, and you should try that when you're at stores and the mall. But other than that, I really get passionate about what I do, and sometimes I'm a good fit for a company because they really appreciate that about me.
All right.